Mark's a liar.
Hello and welcome to the Cryptonaut Podcast. I'm Mark Storrs, and with me is...
Chris. Carnicelli.
And
Wow, discovery.
I know. It was like, what's going to happen next?
I didn't know. I thought it might be a faux name. I thought it might be a pseudonym.
You don't know.
Robert Thomas Morphy II.
be sure to follow us on social media. We're available on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where we share some photos occasionally.
We sure do.
We are available on Spotify as well as iTunes. Be sure, if you are listening on iTunes, whether it's your desktop application or your mobile application, to leave us a rating and a review. It helps the show out greatly.
As sure as the Dickens does.
And thank you to everyone who's been checking this show out and giving us feedback. It is greatly appreciated. And this week, we are super excited to bring you...
Oh, my God.
The Jellyman.
I know.
Oh, Jellyman.
The Jellyman.
Harvey Jellyman.
Harvey Jellyman. All
Attorney
right.
at law.
Harvey Jellyman.
Harvey, what are you doing there?
I'm trying to do it, but I can't. I just totally can't.
You
All right.
can.
So the Jellyman is located in Spain.
Yes.
The Spanish
One of our favorite
Jellyman.
nooks of the world. Home of the Octosquatch.
The Octosquatch.
The home
yeah.
of the Aquasquatch, yeah. And,
The Quattro Squatch.
Yes, the Quattro Squatch.
and according to our stats, we have a handful of listeners over there in Spain.
Oh, bless
so,
your heart. First off, I love siestas.
hello.
I love fiestas.
Don't we all?
Yeah,
I
all
love,
those.
what's that delicious Spanish sausage? Help me out.
Chorizo?
Chorizo.
Oh, chorizo's
I love chorizo
bomb.
so much.
It's
Chris
so
turned me on to
good.
it. Oh,
Damn.
oh.
Okay,
What
enough-
don't I love about your culture?
Enough
Let me
about
know the
love
ways.
for Spanish culture. Let's get to the story here. So, in the summer of 1965, a pair of Spanish siblings had a run-in with a bizarre bipedal humanoid entity, which is utterly unique, even in the archives of both cryptozoological and paranormal research.
Indeed.
All right.
I'm
Continue,
I'm just
Dad.
setting it up.
What is it?
Robert,
Maybe you should
Take
read a
it
little
away.
bit.
Ooh.
I can't pronounce anything in Spanish because I'm a terrible American.
Oh, I
So-
can't either.
Okay, well, your
I'm gonna F
pronunciation
this.
aside.
I'm going to F this up.
Okay, here we
All
go.
right. You ready? Nestled. A great word, by the way. Doesn't that make you feel comfortable when you hear nestled?
Nestled, yeah.
Isn't that like a warm blanket,
Totally, yeah.
fresh from a dryer?
Nestled in a corner.
Like
yeah.
you hear the crunch of autumn leaves outside, Halloween's playing on TV, but you're not scared because you've seen it 800 times.
'Cause you're
just
nestled.
sort of comfort because you're
You're
nestled.
fucking nestled.
You're eating a Nestle's Crunch, being nestled in the nestling bosom
Yeah.
of the Nestletron.
Right now, get a blanket and some heat.
Oh,
Get in a fucking corner.
and get nestled.
Some sweets.
And get ready for the story.
And get ready for the Jellyman. Nestled in the mountainous, and I'm going to brutally mispronounce this, Caceres province.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
Thank you. In the autonomous community of Extremadura, not far from the Portuguese border,
Okay.
lies the pastoral village of Fregosa. The isolated farm region traditionally has a population of less than 300 souls and, by all accounts, is not traditionally a hotbed of paranormal activity. All of that would change in August of 1965.
Summer of Love?
Well, no, that was 68, I think.
Oh, sorry. That's 3 years off.
On a lazy afternoon, sometime in that aforementioned summer, young siblings Juan Dominguez and his sister Isabel were passing a rustic garden wall. Stone, I think, chipping through vines. The pair was loaded down with peach bundles. Oh, is that the most nestling
Sounds
kind of thing?
wholesome as fuck.
One
Peach bundle?
day peach
Yeah,
bundles?
peach
Come
bundles.
on.
Bundles
Skip,
of
skip. I know.
peaches?
Oh.
This is too good to be.
Now I want a peach.
No, it's just perfect. Siblings, nice day, rural Spain, peach bundles.
65.
A good time, an innocent time, which they were bringing home when they suddenly noticed a shadowy apparition skulking near the stone barrier.
And this is du-
Ruined.
This is during the day.
This is during the day. Not
Okay.
like the rainy nights that so often are the
bring
the
Birdman,
prologue of
Yeah.
vile evil
But it wasn't the
strangeness.
shadows.
No, it's just a bright day.
Sulking in the shadows.
The inquisitive siblings cautiously approached the humanoid figure, which seemed to be emitting a strange reverberation as it paced back and forth. It was a sound which they later compared to a rattler or
So-
rattlesnake.
It was making a noise or it was shaking and making a noise?
Well, here's the
a
thing.
reverberation?
And this is where...
So wait a minute.
Okay, let Chris talk here.
Okay.
So they passed something in the shadows and they heard like that
Yes.
from like a rattler.
Like it's
Absolutely.
the reverse flash or something?
Well, here's the thing.
Why is
they
that-
saw a strange
What?
humanoid figure, which was shadowy.
What does that mean?
And seemed to be emanating a sound that Chris just made. and that they compared later to a rattlesnake. So that's weird. Because do you know what that to me? That's something out of Doctor Who. It's like it's kind of vibrating. It's like
like the Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne.
Yeah, but he doesn't sound like a rattler.
No, but he makes that weird reverberation.
Well, there's a difference between fiction and reality.
I'm
No, but he
sorry,
goes-
I have no basis for reality.
No, he makes it look sound like a rattler doesn't sound like it sounds like a rattle. Okay. That's why it's called a rattler.
I'm sorry. I rescind my statement again. Continue.
Fucking
Robert,
Dad.
can't get away with anything.
Why do you guys have to fight? It's like my parents
The Reverse
fighting.
Flash does not sound like a rattler.
He does not. But he does sound like a
Not like
no.
like that's that's the rattler sound. Not
Fair
like
enough.
not like that.
Yeah, like a deep bass
Right.
rumble.
Okay, because it is reverberation, I'll give it to Chris.
As the two,
This one time.
You're welcome.
the siblings,
Thank you.
All right.
the siblings Dominguez.
Siblings, they shit their pants. Let's go.
No, all right. So
I'm going to hit you with a fucking bag of peaches, I swear to God.
as the two got closer, bags of peaches, bundles of peaches in tow, their curiosity was rapidly replaced. By anyone care to guess? Terror.
Fear. Oh.
yeah, terror. No, you were going there.
I did. I
Chris
had
was
it.
elevating
We had
it.
it at the same time.
I took it to the max.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terror. Okay. The shape, which had vaguely resembled that of a human being at a distance, proved to be something else entirely upon closer inspection. Both Juan and Isabel would later confirm that they saw a bipedal creature that stood well over 6 feet in height. They claimed that it had extraordinarily long arms, reaching past its knees, but what was even more alarming was the fact that this being was completely translucent and had flesh that appeared to be gelatinous.
Ooh.
Scummy. Gelatinous is a scummy
Gunky,
word. First
yeah.
off, all right, so you're over 6 foot tall, intimidating, especially when you're a kid.
Big, long,
you're
weird
super
arms
thin,
past
your
your
arms
knees.
go past your knees. All right, that's some shitty
But you got
Slenderman
gelatinous
territory.
skin. Slenderman,
That's
yeah.
shitty Slenderman territory.
Yeah.
But then when you look at your flesh, it's like, and this is
Translucent.
just, I mean, Jellyman. It's
It's
Jellyman.
Jellyman.
Ricky Jellyman.
Ricky Jellyman.
Richard J. Jellyman.
Meet
Maybe
my
it-
daughter. You guys
maybe
will be a fine match.
He is some sort of offshoot of the Slenderman.
Perhaps,
Minus,
but I doubt
minus
it.
the creepypasta angle.
Seeing
Yeah.
that Slenderman was a completely manufactured fictional thing many years later,
Possibly based on the Jellyman.
possibly, possibly.
Okay.
Jellyman.
Continue.
According to
Jellyman.
the Dominguez's testimony, the Langurus creature. I'm sorry, I said it wrong.
It's not a
Langurus.
Spanish word.
I know. Listen, I'm not a master of the English language. Has a lot of words. I do my best.
Yeah. It
You
does.
wrote this article.
Doesn't matter. I use a thesaurus. It is a languid creature. I should have just said languid. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Respect.
languid creature's arms seemed to sway at its sides in harmony with its body. That's a quote. So when you're terrified,
Okay,
but you still
weird.
notice
So it was
harmony,
doing a weird.
so it was like moving kind of like
Right?
Like a
like one
just
of
a
those
snaky.
wind guys, like one of those scummy wind guys on a used car lot, sort of.
Yeah, well, there's
Super shaky
shit's
floaty
kind of
guy,
all over
Yeah,
though.
but one with rhythm, like Eldebarge mated with one of those scumbag wind guys on a car lot.
Up to the bar.
You know I had to bring an
Bring it
Eldebarge
up
to the beat of the rhythm.
Because
of the
we've
night.
seen a lot of Eldebarge.
Oh, we love him. I love him. We love him. I don't
who's
care. I'm
Johnny?
gonna say. She say. Smiled in her special way. All right. Its sides, its arms, swayed to the sides in a harmony with its body as it made its way through a patch of vegetation that lay adjacent to the river, which was nearby the rustic wall. It was then that the flabbergasted pair noticed that the faceless entity had pivoted from its original path and was now making its way directly toward them.
Dun, dun,
That's never a good
dun. Jellyman's on
Like,
the case.
really, that's bad.
This is a
Like
lot
you see
of
that
things.
at a distance, it's 6'7".
Yeah.
It's got like really beautiful ballet-like moments. You know, when it's moving, it's like gentle and beautiful and flowing like a river stream. But it's gelatinous and it has no face and it's
Yeah.
sort of fucking
And now it's
weird.
coming at
It
you.
moves
And
like
now
a
it's
fucking
coming towards
cobra,
you.
though.
Yeah, no, a deadly cobra.
Yeah.
Which moves sexy but deadly. Sexy but deadly.
Yeah.
Is this monster sexy but deadly? I'm pretty sure
So
it's
let's-
gelatinous.
Let's-
Dexy? Dexy's Midnight? No, come on.
Yeah, no.
All right, fair enough.
let's
Went
see.
too far. Okay.
It did.
As the viscous, that word I got,
yeah.
Jellyman lurched toward the petrified
Gross.
duo, they both dropped their peach bundles and fled in abject and utterly understandable horror. It can be
Peaches.
assumed that either the entity meant them no harm,
Horm.
or that its glutinous appendages were unable to keep up with its prey as the Dominguez siblings sprinted off, leaving the undulating thing behind them, never to be seen again. So it didn't catch them because it couldn't, or it didn't catch them because it didn't want to.
Okay, and this is just one sighting again that we have,
Oh,
right?
it's just a one-off.
Single.
Well, yeah,
These
what the
poor,
fuck,
these
man?
poor
We've been
peach
killing
carry-
the one-offs.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? We got to get the one because there's many things.
No, I enjoy
Once
it.
we go to
It's cool.
Sasquatchville, it's going to be like an 11-parter where we have to dig deep, or Nessie, or other great things that we
Right.
love. What I like to deal with are these like one-offs, so we can just sort of catalog them, bring them to the attention of our listeners, enjoy the weirdness of them, and of course, if our listeners know of other things that are similar to this,
Yeah, let
we
us
can
know, by all
add to the
means.
lore,
Yeah.
as it were. But as it stands, this thing started coming towards them. They freaked the F out, understandably, jetted out of there, and either it couldn't or didn't care to keep up with them.
Okay.
But what would you do? What would you do if you just saw this?
You have to run.
I mean, I've been walking around in woods since I was a kid. I've been hanging out. I've never, if I saw something, first off, it almost, when I hear of like translucent gelatinous, I'm seeing like predator camo.
active camo.
But more tangible somehow.
Right.
Like just moving like with a liquidy, horrible sound.
Yeah.
And then it turns towards you. Now, part of you wants to be like, you know what? I'm going to meet this thing. I'm going to meet you. I'm going to shake your groupie ass hand.
No,
and
never.
I'm going to be the
Never.
first human being to be the first diplomat to the jelly.
I don't know, man. I don't think anyone's going to do that. Though,
But I
do you?
can't do that because
No,
I know in my
wouldn't do
heart
it.
Not if
I
it's
am
that
going to
big.
run.
No.
Yeah, because it's so big and thin and long-armed and wrong.
Well, first of all,
I've ran from squirrels, so I'm
it
I'm
sounds
not
like a
getting
rat.
into
It
this
sounds
thing.
like a snake. It moves ish, kind of like a snake.
Right.
You know, the Predator made kind of a rattler sound, didn't it?
Yeah, well, it was like.
All right, so
Well, but
yeah,
I
all
mean,
right.
and that was
Ish.
Shane Black, so there's not much you can really.
You just wonder if Shane Black read this account before he wrote his movie. Just saying. All right, but besides that, Chris, please continue.
No, well, I'm saying there's a lot of snake-likeness to it, but the fact that it's that big.
Over 6 feet is not small, especially when you're a child. You drop your peach bundles, you know that's a whipping. Like when your parents are expecting you to come home with bundles of peach. You better fucking
But
have
like
some peach.
where? Like I mean, it says like out of the shadows or something. It doesn't really just
Well,
say.
there's a fence, a river.
If there's a
and then
right,
out of the
but it
shadows,
said out of
this
the
thing-
right the shit.
It's walking in the vegetation, and then it turns towards you and starts heading towards you. Maybe it just wants to say hi. Hey, maybe it's peach hungry. We've all been there.
Could be.
Maybe it's
Translucent.
evil and
So
wanted to
it's-
absorb them.
As far as like
Suck their precious fluids. Precious bodily fluids.
Okay, so in the article here, we do have a little breakdown about what it could be from outer space.
Yes.
Or just the outer space angle.
Here's some speculate. Why don't you read the outer space option?
Okay, so outer space wise, there are those who feel that any entity as esoteric as this must represent a visitor from out of this world, but as there are no UFO sightings in conjunction with this admittedly unusual encounter, that proposition remains pure conjecture. So they're saying outer space wise, there's no sightings, can't be an alien, but
No, they're not saying can't.
Well,
No, it can't. It can be.
it could, but there aren't any
Right.
sightings.
Wait, when did this happen?
This was
1965.
It
was the 60s,
The
okay.
summer of 65.
Right. Okay.
Now we talked before about elementals when we were dealing with the Sky Spitter in
Right.
a past episode,
That's what I was,
which you
I
should
was
listen
thinking,
to.
Yeah.
The Sky Spitter was this cloud-like entity that seemed to personally single out a science teacher and wetten him. But this weird kind of gelatin, maybe one of those fundamental Earth elementals, maybe a being of liquid that could function cohesively.
Well, that would make it at least a little bit more like translucent. You assume
It
that's
sounds like
watery.
it's camouflage. It sounds almost like it's a
Oh,
chameleon
absolutely.
like with camouflage.
Well, or water-ish.
Oh, like a water elemental?
Yeah,
It could be.
water-ish.
And that
Could be.
goes to another thing. Yet another intriguing
like
theory
a hydra.
is that the jellyman is an indigenous life form and maybe just one of the many well-camouflaged and conceivably intelligent beings that coexist with us on Mother Earth, dwelling in the shadows and melting into the background with its nearly flawless disguise, perhaps in the shadowy nexus of our reality and the so-called Goblin World.
Oh,
The Goblin World. Those who don't know the Goblin World, Ted Holliday was one of the proponents of this. He was a very famous Loch Ness investigator. He was the guy that came up with the Orm of Loch Ness, or the giant mutated worm. He had a lot of ideas of magic and stuff. And the Goblin World, which has been written about a few times, is basically this. It's sort of like that. All right, I'm going to go back to one of my favorite old shows that is probably much older than most of our listeners, and that is Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Where, but unseen by most,
Yeah.
and everything goes negative. It's basically the place where traditional scientific laws and the earth as we know it meets this shadowy realm that coexists with us, mostly in this dimension, sometimes in another, but that's where goblins, fairies, just magnificent
Possibly
weird creatures.
big feet.
Yeah,
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
so it does or does not
It
exist
is this
in the
nexus
same dimension.
Where, you remember when you guys went to that fairy void and interviewed the woman that claimed
Yeah,
to be
the
able to talk to
Watertown,
in Watertown,
the Area 51 vortex. There.
Exactly, a vortex. And that vortex was supposed to represent a nexus between the traditional, Newtonian scientific world that we all occupy.
Well, you could cross into something that
cross
was
into something that was.
So you're saying what you cross into?
That's the goblin world.
Oh, okay.
By
Okay,
definition.
Yeah. So really, it's. I mean, I think what Chris says is when he brings up like dimensional, that it would be considered out of our dimension.
Yeah, it is separate from.
So
us.
it's separate from a dimension.
But you could cross
Separate,
into
but
it.
absolutely adjacent, say.
Right. So I mean,
And you can see things from it, and we can slip into it.
for kids to kind of get a better understanding of this, like the Upside Down.
Oh yeah,
from
that's
Stranger
perfect.
Things.
From
Yeah.
Stranger Things,
Which there
and
is-
upside down, but it's like less black and dandruffy. It's not just permanent shadows
Right,
and darkness
Yeah.
and constant flaky dandruff.
And Demogorgons and all
It's
that.
full of like all sorts of creatures that on Earth would seem to be. It's more like slipping over into a Harry Potter book, I guess, than the upside down.
Yeah,
But
and-
like the upside down,
Yeah, if you're in
it
the train
resides
station
right next to us.
and you got to get
And there is
Exactly.
there is sort of it's not necessarily like a there is a prevailing theory that all these different sightings of creatures, and whether it's cryptozoological,
Ufological, paranormal.
anything is just that it's extra dimensional things kind of crossing over into our dimension.
What has always freaked me out more than anything
That's more terrifying than an actual
was
Bigfoot,
an
so.
idea, and this goes back to H.P. Lovecraft and a movie that was made back in the 80s called From Beyond, where without our ability to see, we could be surrounded by things that are just intangible but horrible.
Right.
And that would like the
Interdimensional
right
beings,
resonance,
Yeah.
the right sound, the right something. All of a sudden we exist in the same plane, and we are like basically wading in a kiddie pool full of piranha.
Right.
Where we could just be skeletalized in a second. And they're here, and maybe they can see us and we can't see them.
Right.
And we are blissfully unaware.
Yeah.
But things like the Jelly Man, and maybe even the Crazy Critter of Bald Mountain, to give a shout out to a past podcast.
You can put pretty much every cryptid
Any
in this
weird thing you
category.
want.
yeah.
But particularly things like the Jelly Man, which are not commonly seen and are strange. I mean, and there's a lot of people like Jacques Vallée, the famous French ufologist who was made immortal by Francois Truffaut in Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He started off believing extraterrestrials were visitors from another planet, but eventually started believing in the fairy world and the idea that there are parallel dimensions and these things slip in and out, and that it's not as cut and dry.
Yeah, when you get into like quantum physics and string theories and stuff like that,
Multiple dimensions.
Yeah, when basically scientists are like, yeah, there's multiple things happening at multiple times, basically at the same point in time, that makes you go, oh. Like
it boggles the mind.
You could be dealing with any number of sort of jellyman type things.
What I don't want to deal
Or
with
sky spitters.
is
Who
the
knows?
first interdimensional war.
No,
Because that
dude,
shit's
I
going to
don't-
feel like a bad acid trip.
Dude, if
plus,
there's
you're
a-
going to get hurt. Plus, they're going to cancel all sorts of seasons of shows I love.
If there is a dimensional
that's the
thing
deal.
happening, I don't want to know about it.
No, I don't.
You might
No.
not.
You might not.
You might be
We
happening
might
right
be in the
now.
middle of an interdimensional war right now that our sweet secret NASA agents are fighting.
That's why they're
keeping
there.
them below.
Well,
You
that's
don't
why
know.
when they're not guarding the ice wall, they're protecting us from interdimensional beings.
God bless
I'm
NASA.
okay with that.
You don't know. They could be constantly changing time as we know it, and you wouldn't know.
And I don't want to know.
Isn't that
I'm
the
good with it.
scariest
I hate
thought?
it.
Yeah, I'm
I
good
know
with
we're
it. I'm good with
digressing,
it.
but literally 4 minutes ago, the three of us who have been friends for decades might never have met each other. 4 minutes ago,
I know.
this might not have existed. This podcast, our years of revelry, good times, sharing heartbreaks and joys, might have been nothing. But now it is, and always has been in our mind. And then a second later, it might be completely fucking gone.
And
Yeah,
in the
'cause somebody
middle is
changed
where
it.
that's
I know.
where the jellyman lives. Is in the middle.
So you think the jellymen are the glue that bind the different dimensions?
No, I think it's probably.
Because I'm reading into this, but I like where you're
I
going.
really
I don't think it's that.
I think
I don't.
If we're gonna go non-skeptical, if we're gonna go, what could this thing be? I'm gonna say this definitely falls into the purview of weird interdimensional being that's sort of crossed over, and it's seen and it's there and it happens.
But why not alien? Like,
Yeah, why not
what makes
extraterrestrial?
what makes you think that
it could be alien too? It could totally be alien.
Or why not elemental?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
Chris
true.
is saying
I'm just
alien,
taking the
you're saying extra-dimensional.
I'm not
I'm
saying
taking
alien. I'm
the-
saying
No,
why
but we're
couldn't
speculating.
Right? Yeah, but I mean, even
To me, anything that says translucent, I get that watery, like,
Of course.
right,
doodly thing.
elemental.
It's
yeah.
it's
So-
James Cameron abyss
Which
technology,
really,
like
though,
early
wouldn't-
CGI.
But wouldn't an elemental fall into like the quote unquote goblin world? Like, wouldn't it be under the same type of category?
Probably.
Really? Of like possible not
Maybe.
of this world dimension thing.
Maybe it just wanted a goddamn peach.
It could have.
Like maybe it just wanted a sweet, sweet summer of
Right.
'65 peach.
But then again, who's to say that these things didn't exist?
long before us.
Yeah, who's
Yeah,
to say that
these could
any
be
of the
completely
things
terrestrial,
that,
yeah.
anything like goblins,
Well, that
didn't actually exist at some point.
Right.
Even if it was 100 years, 1,000 years, even 100,000 years in the history of
Right.
this world.
Yeah, who's to say?
If
Well,
if no one's recording anything,
Right.
like
Yeah.
you really don't have a
Like who's writing
timeline.
down who's writing down shit in like 940?
Well,
Really?
a lot of people.
Well,
do.
yeah,
but I mean,
there was a lot.
Can you
But
trust
but
it?
but
Can
but,
you trust
but to
it?
go along the
What?
There's no fucking
There's just-
iPhones, Rob.
no.
And there's no
All right.
YouTube.
Does corroboration? That's how they.
But
Fake news.
where I can honestly see, God damn it, just let me say my piece.
Archimedes.
Where I can honestly see
Liar.
creatures like the Hobbit, aka Homo floresiensis, where small people
We
and
were
there's
just talking about
probably
this, yeah.
we were, and where small people might have been in more populations than just the
Right.
island of Flores, and they might have been credited with being elves and gnomes and goblins.
Yes.
Where that could be a literal part of our history. If there were things like the Jellyman, if there are humanoid things that have this either a totally foreign body structure or B, an excellent form of camouflage, not only could they have existed, but they could continue to exist with very little chance of being found because this is an impeccable form of camouflage. This disguise is amazing. And
it
so
could even be a form of evolution. They evolved to develop this type of
it's a
camouflage.
possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, proto-humans could have gone in a million different directions, and maybe just recently we're starting to develop the kind of infrared and other technologies that would identify them. But for generations of human existence, they could have just been these things that dug peaches, lived by rivers, and just did their thing. And
Maybe
now
they really
suddenly,
like kids and they're like, hey,
Right.
kids. And the kids freak out and they're like, kids hate us.
You mean like kids are cool?
No,
with kids?
they like see kids and they're like, oh, cool kids. How you doing, kids?
Oh, okay.
And the kids are like, run, Jellyman. Like, we love kids.
It's a possibility.
I'm just saying, maybe they have a soft spot for kids.
But what I'm saying is, it really is wide open. No reason to assume
totally.
extraterrestrial. No reason to assume goblin world. It just
I
could
really
be.
do. I really do like that theory, though. Of all these things that are reported and that are experienced are just in. It's like that reality is just that fragile that things from other realities can cross over into our reality.
It seems like physics.
It seems really cool, but terrifying at the same time.
It seems like physics,
terrifying,
and I agree with that.
Well,
it's
not
always leaning
terrifying.
towards it.
I mean, it's
physics is always kind of going that way. Yeah.
Always seems to be heading in the direction of more.
Yeah.
There's more possibilities. There's more realities than you can fathom. There's more aspects to reality than you can wrap your mind around.
Right.
Suck it up and deal with it. Because we've been hearing since, remember Prince of Darkness, that classic late 80s John Carpenter film. It's like reality breaks down on a subatomic level. Mm-hmm. Victor Wong, I think, said it. May he rest in peace, the actor. And it is true. When you really get into the deeper parts of physics, logic as we know it breaks down. We've known that for decades upon decades, but none of us really process it in a day-to-day functioning way. When we're thinking, I want a cheesesteak, I need a beer, I need to worry about these
that's
practical
the world
things.
we live in. We don't. You can't think. Trying to think on a quantum level, just as much as the opposite. You really can't. You can't wrap your mind around.
I don't have the time.
And if you can,
for that,
you're probably working for the government or a very expensive lab, and you're getting paid to do that and to wear the same pair of pants every day because you can't really function in reality.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the option.
really. I mean, do you look at the moon and be like, "Oh yeah, we can go there," and we've been there.
Right.
You really can't like.
Well, we might have
think about the fact that you could launch like
we
and
might
get
have
there.
some moon episodes coming up. So
Can it, Dad? I'm just saying,
the moon's hollow, the moon's flat.
it's just not really fathomable that that's like a reality.
The moon is definitely hollow.
What these
It might
kids
not be
saw
flat.
is definitely interesting. This
Hollow,
this
just
this
white.
reverberation thing is kind of cool because it does kind of. It's almost like Chris said, like as far as a snake, like is it like a warning? Is it camouflage?
That's
or
true.
kind of like the predator active camo?
Well, they just said like rattler, so
like it was rattling.
that's why.
Which
And then it
which
peaks
for a
back and
snake
forth.
that is a warning.
Yeah.
That's a warning sight. Which I think evolutionarily speaking, any noise like that a creature would make would be a warning system. Yeah.
And when
It's
something
not gonna
moves
use it
back
to
and forth,
hide.
I can't help but to make it analogous to a cobra.
Yeah.
The way it would sway
Well, that's what I'm
back and
saying. They're
forth.
snake-like.
So maybe this thing is a predator. Maybe it's an animal. Maybe it is afraid. It sees these things. It doesn't know what they are. It doesn't like them in its territory. And it's trying to give off a very definite warning. Because cobras don't want to kill people any more than anything else. They're not
saying,
malicious. They're
take
just
your peaches
defensive.
and get out.
Yeah, they're not out fucking.
Right. So,
fucking
so
shit
there's a
up.
possibility this is an animal and not a being, not
Okay, so
something with intelligence, and
What-
it's manifesting its
Right.
natural defenses to say, "Get away before I
Right,
have to
but
hurt you."
being
Right.
that big and no one's ever seen another one.
But it's a great camouflage.
it's
Yeah.
true.
What if they
But-
hide in water more often than not, where it would be almost impossible to see something gelatinous and translucent?
Okay, these are
Just
kids.
what are the odds?
These are kids, and kids have vivid imaginations. What could they have possibly, in a tangible world, seen or experienced that would produce this?
something that if it was shorter, but like something that big.
Yeah.
That's hard.
I don't even know.
I'm trying to
it's-
think,
Because
like-
they see it actually come towards them. It's not
Yeah.
like it's walking in the distance. Then you could be heat mirage.
That's what I was thinking. Was
crinkled paper blowing in the wind.
No, I was thinking almost like a heat mirage, but that doesn't.
I mean, for the sound.
It doesn't
Then
explain.
again, you don't know.
yeah, it
Were
doesn't-
they
well, no, yeah,
dehydrated? Like, were they?
well, they had peaches, so
Yes, they clearly could have
Yeah,
been
they
hydrated.
crush some peaches and be like,
Just
"We're
drink
fucking max power. We can see everything."
Side note: I could not go and get a bundle of peaches because I would eat them all,
Oh yeah,
and I would
They're
just bring
delicious.
home the pits.
I do like.
Like, here you go,
peaches.
bag of
I don't
pits.
always like peach flavored stuff, but I like
love
peaches.
Yeah, I like
Agreed.
flavored stuff.
That
You know what I
weird
mean?
texture of the
So-
meat is wonderful.
I know it's fuzzy, and
I
then,
think
but then
the-
it's like sweet and
Succulent as the dickens.
I think what's
great.
working
It's
against
great.
these. I think the only thing that is working against this is that it is kids.
Yeah, but you could always say that.
Yeah, I know, but when it comes to kids, you got to remember the whole imagination thing. But I'm not discrediting it. I'm playing the side of the skeptic.
Adults also
just
have
saying.
imaginations. Adults
Exactly.
are chronic liars.
Well, kids might not have.
We are.
a correct aspect of how tall something
That's true.
is.
Yeah.
Something that's like 5'3" might seem like 6 foot.
Because
if
to
you're
me,
tiny.
GI Joe guys were pretty big. When I was like, oh, but they're not. They're like
Yeah, no,
weensons.
they're like
shit.
they're like 3.75 inches. So yeah, they're nothing.
That's fair. All right, so dealing
But
with the
yeah.
fact we have to be skeptical about a child's ability to assess size and distance.
Dude, again, I want this to be some weird interdimensional play thing that happened, where this thing just kind of popped into our reality, and these kids are like, "What the fuck?" And this thing is probably like, "What the fuck are these things?"
But it came towards them. So it didn't run away.
No.
It didn't shirk and shrink
Then
down
again,
and try to be invisible.
considering the size comparison, if this thing popped into our reality for however briefly it did, and it sees these kids, size alone, it's like, what the fuck are these things? And start walking towards them.
Oh, you can say that, but let's be objective. I'm 6'2", and if I see a tiny scorpion, I'm running and screaming like a little girl.
Right,
and
right,
they're like
right.
inches. So
True.
size is if it's something foreign, I don't.
No.
If it's half my height, I still am intimidated completely.
Right.
Less. Oh,
yeah.
like I said,
No, I'm saying
scorpions.
if
Well,
it's a hardy spider,
Okay, but
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, if this thing is hostile,
and it might well
and
be.
it could very
Well,
could
yeah,
it
well,
very
who
well
knew?
could have,
You know-
or it could have been very friendly.
Here's the thing. It could be very friendly, but here's the dark side of my imagination. One of the reasons we might not have any other close encounter reports
I know where you're
is
going
that
with this.
it is so dangerous that it makes sure there aren't close encounter reports.
That it eats children,
Well, it eats, fucking dissolves, eliminates, I don't know.
just like Beastmaster.
But there could be
You're
reasons
right.
why
You're
there's
right. It
only
could.
one account, and because these kids had peaches and they were willing to drop them and split and
They-
book.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You know, you always
That's
have to be
something
aware
you
of
gotta-
that.
you gotta take
because
into
when there's not a lot
consideration.
of accounts of something, you have to at least account for the thought that maybe it's because, like, I'm not inclined to think every Bigfoot encounter ends up with a Harry and the Hendersons snuggle and a pat goodbye.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah, he was nice to that dog, though.
Yeah. No, I wrote an article once for an Australian magazine that said exactly, and the title was this: "Why I Hope I Never Meet a Sasquatch," because F that. Yeah. They are dangerous, huge predators. But that's a story for another day.
No, but you're right. If this creature, if it does happen to come across something that it would consider prey, and it takes it out, and it's really good at it, and it's been doing it for a long time, you really wouldn't have many accounts because they're all dead.
They're all dead.
Well, if that's the case.
But I mean,
and it's all speculation.
In a world of infinite possibilities.
In a world
of infinite possibilities. In Jellymen that eat children.
We just don't know the Jellyman agenda.
I almost wonder, what does this Jellyman want?
What do they want? Why are they here? Who are they doing?
I almost wonder if there is any like local folklore about that, because it seems like something that would be like a like you tell the kids like, don't go down near the river.
Yeah, Jellyman will get you.
Oh, what the heck's that thing? It was the Rougarou, right? Is that
Loup-garou?
The Rougarou. I think it's like a Louisiana.
Are you talking about the werewolf?
Yeah.
Isn't it? I always thought it was the Loup-garou.
Is it Rougarou? I thought it was Rougarou.
What you're doing, you're Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
You're in Wacky Ray. You just Scooby-Doo that.
Yeah, I think I did Scooby-Doo that. But sort of like one of those cautionary tales that you tell kids, like, don't go down to the river or you're going to die.
Yeah, if you go into the swamp, you'll be attacked by a werewolf. But really, what they're trying to say is you'll drown and be bitten by 14 snakes and eaten by an alligator.
Well, that's why when you're in the bayou like that, you don't get near
most
water.
Monster legends do come from cautionary parents.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any cautionary Jellyman. Don't go near the Peach River.
No.
You know the old stone fence by the river where you get your peaches?
Jellyman.
Be cautious.
He's waiting for you.
Yeah.
Jellyman's waiting for you. I love the fact that we have not once called it the Jellyman.
No, it's the Jellyman.
It's the Jellyman.
I know.
Much like Slenderman, it's the Jellyman.
It's the Jellyman.
Ricardo Jellyman.
So we don't know, but we're erring on the side of caution.
Yeah.
If you see this, don't assume it's just hungry for peaches and wants to give you a big hug. It might dissolve you. It might be made of hydrochloric acid. The rattle could very well be a warning saying, get the fuck away.
Or we're all wrong and it's super nice and it's going to give you balloons.
Maybe. It looks like a human.
It's humanoid.
It's a humanoid. It got long arms, so even though we kept talking about snake-like aspects.
What's a rattle sound?
The rattle
is a warning.
Right.
Yeah, but
and the way
it is
not.
And
the way
it is
moves.
a humanoid, though.
Or it's dry leaves in the tree.
But that's what they say.
We don't know.
Right. That's true. All right, so there you have it. There is the Jellyman.
I don't know about it.
I choose to be intimidated. I choose to respect the distance. If I see a Jellyman, it can go about its way. I will go about mine, and the twain shall not meet.
Yeah.
So you know what?
I agree.
Also, too, we'll put this out to our listeners. Let us know what you think the Jellyman is.
Absolutely.
If you have any theories or ideas or whatever, just visit us at the cryptonautpodcast.com. You can hit the contact form and email us. Let us know. Or you can hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Tell us what you think it is.
Absolutely.
Give us your take on it. And if you've heard anything sort of similar to this,
or seen anything similar to this.
Seen the Jellyman.
Have you heard it? Have you heard of like a predator thing, and then you saw like a weird disruption in the your view,
the ether.
Yeah.
Even if you called him like Danny Jam instead of Jellyman, that's fine.
Danny Jam.
Danny Jam. Oh, it's a legend that I just made up. Sometimes people call things they don't know Danny Jam. Just let it happen, guys.
No,
we fucking can't. I'm not gonna.
Danny Jam is a serious issue.
I'm not gonna allow that to pass. I'm sorry.
You shall not pass. Shall not pass.
We're like, is he talking about something serious?
Yeah, I'm like, what the? Why are you pulling out shit we don't know about?
Sometimes people think jelly is jam. They don't know.
No,
depends on if it's got like
Danny Jam.
You see a fucking
Danny Jam.
You see Teddy Preserves.
Oh shit! Exactly.
Teddy Theodore Preserves.
Oh my
Theodore
God.
Preserves.
That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Cryptonaut Podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your feedback. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. You can do that from your desktop or your mobile device. Be sure to visit us. Social media, all the links will be in the description of this podcast.
Stanley Marmalade.
If you come across...
I do like marmalade.
Are we just going to keep riffing on different jellies and jams?
Me and Paddington
really?
love marmalade. Orange marmalade is delicious.
There's not more than preserves and marmalade. What else is there?
I don't know. We can really go on.
Thank you for listening, and we'll be talking to you soon.
See ya.
Bye.